radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio. For the masses. All right. Yeah, getting settled in. Today's Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020. 358 days into the new year. Only 8 days left. Only 2 days till Christmas. Yeah, man, you saw my post today. Santa came early. I'll show that new thing tomorrow night. That's right. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Yeah, man, how you doing? Tonight, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here. Another first-time guest, 2 first-time guests this week. That's how we do it around here. Ronnie is here to confirm the Rendlesham timeline. There's a lot about Ronnie that we are going to be discussing tonight. I'm really looking forward to this. And then, of course, tomorrow night is Christmas Eve. Oh, man. We made it. Tomorrow night's Christmas Eve. It's another Fader night. It's Thursday. Open lines all night long. Special Christmas show. It's going to be great. And I don't really have anything planned for tomorrow. It's open lines. It's Christmas Eve, so we're going to be talking about Christmas all night, right? Right? Maybe not. We'll see. Whatever's on your mind. You guys got anything on your mind? Anything you want to talk about tomorrow night, huh? Anything going on out there? It's been kind of a slow week, slow couple weeks, right? Not much happening, right? So we're just going to talk about Christmas tomorrow night, right? We'll see. All right. Let's move on. And very excited about the show tonight. And John Burroughs' new book, Weaponization of a UAP, is a must-read, and you've got to go and get it. We've got all the links up in social media, but you've got to go and get the book. And Ronnie's contribution to this book is extraordinary. All right, so we're going to be going through all of that tonight. And, I've had everybody on the show over the years in and around Rendlesham. And Ronnie has been central to it all. And I've been lurking, in the background and following Ronnie over the years. And to have him finally on the show, we've almost done this a few times in the past. But tonight is going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to it. All right, so just stand by, and we will get to Ronnie at the bottom of the hour. Now, you can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. There you go. I had Bigfoot's baby. I I miss those days, man. I would when I was just like all of us. If you were around in the 60s and 70s, and you're shopping, right? You're at the supermarket with your mom. You're 5, you're 6, and you pull up, right, to the cashier, and then to your right and to your left, there was always the candy, right? And you know that your mom is trying to distract you because she knows, right, that you're eyeing some candy, and you're going to make the request that you're going to get denied on, but you're going to try to do it anyway. But then on the other side was the Sun, the Inquirer, right? What was it? World News. And you're looking at these magazine covers and, Elvis on Mars. I had Bigfoot's baby. My daughter's an alien. And I would, JFK spotted with Bigfoot. And I would just read those covers. And I, at that age, I believed all of it. I thought it was newspapers, just like anything else. And from time to time, my mom would, man, she would buy one. And I would read those articles, man. I was 5, 6 years old, flipping through the Inquirer. Those were good days. I don't even know if it's around anymore. Are they? I don't. You know what? That's a show. That's a show. That's my commitment to you guys. I'm going to go out and see if I can find, pick up that guitar and talk to me. You'll have to wait for that tomorrow night. But it's here. It's here in the bunker. It's right over there. But I'm going to wait until tomorrow night. I know that everybody was expecting. No. I'm going to wait till tomorrow night. Maybe that second one will arrive tomorrow. Rita's listening right now. What? Honey, it was only $5. All right. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox live right in front of me. It's not real, the Inquirer. I know, right? See, Twitter's right in front of me. We've got the chat rooms open. There's Laura, there's Ann, there's Catalina over in, that's all I can see right now on the list right there. But the chat rooms are open. Hello to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, UBN, the Bunker Cam. What is going on? Wearing my Van Halen shirt. It's the day before. I can't believe it. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. I'm in a great mood. Okay. COVID report. I'm still at about 60%. And I've been fighting these migraines, and I've never gone through. I used to laugh at migraines. People go, "Man, I've got a migraine." I'm like, migraines, it's fake. Migraines, fake news. Nobody gets migraines. I never got them. Now. Oh man, it's 24 hours a day, and I figured out what works for me, and that is look. Don't take this as some medical advice. But this is what works for me. Sugar, coffee, CBD, Advil. Yeah. That's it. That's my regimen. It's crazy. Woke up today and Rita's like, your eye, right? This eye is just like closed and I could feel it's, and it's like, it's there now, but I know it's in the distance. I just munched a bunch of Advil before the show. I'm drinking really good coffee, and I feel pretty good. But I just know it's just like lurking. Oh, man. Last night was just horrible. But I did get NyQuil today, everybody. I went out and had to get a bunch of stuff done. 1 bottle of NyQuil at the store. 1. I was like, oh man. Oh. So I did get NyQuil, so I'll be able to get through the night tonight. But last night that was a rough one. I felt so bad for Rita because I kept waking up like every hour, and I just couldn't shake it. I woke up without it, but that's it. This COVID thing, it's crazy. Who was I speaking to? I was speaking to somebody today. And, yesterday, too, as well, on the phone. Well, it was Richard Dolan I spoke to yesterday morning. And I've said the same thing to everybody. COVID is in my head. It's weird. Man, I cannot wait for this to end. Whatever it is, I don't know. Okay, let's get to the breaking news. This started to hit yesterday, and I was saddened by it because of the reports that were coming in. Leslie West. Wow. Leslie West, the guitarist who created the hard rock anthem Mississippi Queen. I mean, that was the original thrash guitar to me. And Mississippi Queen, his band Moulton, he died this morning. Felix Papiardi. The cause of death was cardiac arrest. Yesterday, he was rushed to a hospital, and the reports started to come out after suffering a heart attack at his home near Daytona, Florida, but he never regained consciousness. He was just 75 years old. Incredible. 2020 takes another one. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Susan Lucci. I said it. Susan Lucci. Today, 74. Erica Kane. And all my children for like 60 years. Eddie Vedder, today, 56 years old. Now, Eddie Vedder, look, a huge Eddie Vedder fan. I can't stress enough listening to all of those albums in the 90s, just one after 10. Oh, man. Right? Jeremy. Woo! Right? Okay, so anyway, all these songs about the man and oppression and this and that. And he's forced to, he's driving around in like a Ferrari, right? when you're Eddie Vedder, right? Corduroys, doing that thing. Do you not buy a new car? You don't want to really be seen at a stoplight, right? And look over and see Eddie Vedder in a convertible Porsche or something, so what do? Do you not wash your clothes? Do you not own a car? Right? Do you live up to it? Love Eddie Vedder. Derek Smalls. That's right. Harry Shearer, Derek Smalls, bass player for Spinal Tap, today is 77 years old. Adrian Belew, today is 71. Frank Zappa. Iron Maiden's Dave Murray, today is 64 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is, moment of silence. I do it every year. Corey Haim. 1971 to 2010, died at the age of 38. Corey starred in a number of 1980s films, such as Lucas, Silver Bullet, Murphy's Romance, Dream a Little Dream. But he co-starred along with the other Corey Feldman, in two of my all-time favorite films, License to Drive and The Lost Boys. His early success led to a lot of money and fame. He had difficulty breaking away from the trauma of his experience as a child actor and was troubled by drug addiction throughout his later life. He died alone and without friends of pneumonia on March 10th, 2010. Happy birthday, Corey Haim. License to Drive, man. License to Drive. On this day in history, OTD 1968, the crew of the USS Pueblo is released by North Korea after almost a year in captivity. That's right, they were released 2 days before Christmas. Fader fact. All right, now, again, I bet you didn't know this, but it's been vetted. Because of a typographical error, a Bible was printed. Lots of them. And the Bible stated that, quote, thou shalt commit adultery. They left out the not. Published in 1631. This Bible is also known as the Adulterous Bible or the Sinner's Bible. Only several hundred copies remain today, and they are worth big, big money to collectors. And that is your Fader Fact. Tonight, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here. Oh, man, we're going to be talking Rendlesham. His timeline is extraordinary. We're going to be going through all of that tonight and much more. And then tomorrow night is Christmas Eve. It is Thursday. It is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Very special Christmas show. Our family is spending it with yours tomorrow night on Fade to Black, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, this is the point of the show where I drink this River Moon coffee. Oh, I meant to post it today. River Moon, maybe I'll do it during one of the breaks tonight. River Moon sent us a bag of coffee today that is this big. It's like a bag of garden soil. It's like this big. You know when you go, you get dog food, and you buy that 40-pound bag of dog food, and you can barely pick it up and put it in the shopping cart. You know what I'm talking about. You don't even put it in the shopping cart. You put it underneath. It's like that. They sent us that. I'm like, what? What is this? I just want to make sure I don't run out. I want to thank River Moon Coffee for that. I'm going to post a picture. It's insane. You know the label, right, that comes on the Fade to Black coffee, right? And the label takes up the you know, right? All right. You know what I'm talking about. Well, same label, but you can't even see it. It's a big silver bag, and the label's down on the bottom. RiverMoonCoffee.com. All right. Fade to Black blend. Use the promo code F2B blend, 15% off of your order today. Click on the banners over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. It's all out there. River Moon Coffee. Check out all of our new wellness products. Yeah. Can I say it on the air? CBD? That's right. Black Moon Balm, Black Moon, the Fade to Black coffee, CBD. It's there. You can get it. Eye serum, you know, for your face serum, CBD. Yep. You got to get yourself some. I use it. People say, Jimmy, you've got that fresh look. You look so fresh. Now you know why. Black Moon Face Serum. Helps my eyebrows grow too. Rita says, Jimmy, you've got new eyebrows. All right. Can you tell I'm in a good mood? I'm in a good mood. Christmas is here. All right. New guitars do that to you. Well, I got to hit this coffee again. I got something to say. Man, that's good coffee. Well, as 2020 starts to wind down, all of us, around this time of year, we start to think back about the year that was. And I'm not going to get into any of that right now. Most importantly, because we've friggin' discussed it every night on the show. So, but the other thing that we all do at this time of the year is that we take that gander back in time, you know, and we start to think about what we've learned, our mistakes, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, all that stuff. And let me just say this. Our community has matured. Most of us have taken huge strides with discernment, with judgment, and honesty. I see it. I feel it. Things today are just different for me in this community. Now, this is the point where I say, here's the deal. Our community has seen personalities come and go. All right? Trends start and fade away. Documents are leaked and proven a hoax. We get the images, the videos, and those pumping them up, and those that shoot them down. It's because we police ourselves. And we do a great job of it. Seriously, we really do. We'll chase somebody out of here real quick, man. Right? We've got discernment. We're used to heartbreak. This community's been around for a very, very long time. Decades. Other communities out there could learn a lot from our UFO brothers and sisters. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but they really could, because we have that ability. And it's gotten really, really good. You see, over the last year, I've managed to watch a few documentaries, more than that actually, and television series about different cults from around the world. One of them is called Wild Wild Country. It's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's going to blow your friggin' mind, man. If you are old enough to remember when it all went down, like I do, then this whole saga is probably a distant memory that you've forgotten most of the details. But if you are too young to have been around in the 70s, this is something that you must watch. Wild Wild Country. About a cult leader goes up to Oregon, buys an entire town, county, thousands of people, builds a city. He's got his own army. He's got a fleet of, 50, 75 Rolls Royces. Crazy cult. Huge cult. Big money. Big. Thousands and thousands of people converged on this town and took it over and bought up. It's not a joke. Watch that. Wild, Wild Country. It's a long series, too. And you think to yourself, especially if you didn't know about it, right? How could this happen? And it's not just, a few people or a few hundred. It's a friggin' county that the state of Oregon had to deal with. And it's crazy. I'm talking about infrastructure, man. I'm talking about everything that you can think about to take over a town and then build your own city right next to it. You need to go and check that out. Everything about cult figures and ufology are peanuts. Peanuts. Stupid. Retarded compared to this. You just can't compare the two. Then there was Butterfield. And I know you're going, Butterfield, what's that? The documentary is called Holy Hell, directed by Will Allen, and it will change everything you've thought about self-control. Another huge cult with big money. The leader of Butterfield was a man known as Michael Andreas, the teacher, right? His real name was Jaime Gomez. That's right. He was once known to wear, and it's all in the documentary, he would just wear Speedos and eye makeup and run around the cult, their compound. Crazy, right? Eyeliner, man, it was just nuts. Oh, and he was a porn star. And that all came out later. Nobody knew that before. The cult was started right here in Los Angeles. Yeah, back in the 1980s. This is brand new stuff. And I was here. I lived here. But I somehow was fortunate to miss all of the drama. Rita and I watched this documentary. She's like, did you know about this? I was like, no. Whoa. Right? Holy Hell is a must watch. You've got to watch it. You want to talk about cults? Watch that. Ufology. The cult leaders that you think you want to call a cult leader, watch Holy Hell. And then you have Bikram Choudhury. Bikram. Bikram. The creator of, are you ready? Hot yoga. That's right. Hot yoga. And you got a hot yoga place right next to your house right now. It's right down the street. Hot yoga. That's Bikram. The new Netflix documentary, it's called Bikram, Yogi, Guru, Predator. Watch this. It explores all of the sexual assault allegations against Bikram. Oh, it's deep. And we are talking about a huge following. International hot yoga, right? Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. A real cult. Still running around today. Still active. All of these were real cults with big money and people that just fell for it. And Bikram, again, right here in Los Angeles. Hot yoga. Right? I'm just like, oh, man. And this hasn't even ended. So watch these three. Watch these three documentaries. You're going to learn a lot about what a cult is and how. I didn't even get into Heaven's Gate. That's a whole nother situation. But watch these three. There's something that tells me there's another documentary in our future. So watch these three, and all you can do when you're watching these, as I have, is insert the names and faces, right? Insert the names and faces. It's going to play out the same way. I guarantee it. There is justice. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Go watch your three cult documentaries and get back to me. It's going to take up a lot of your time. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. It's the night before Christmas Eve. And tonight, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here. We're going to be talking about Rendlesham tonight. It's going to be a great show. But again, tomorrow night's Christmas Eve. It is Thursday. Open lines all night long. Very special Christmas show coming up on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I'll be right back with our guest, Ronnie Dugdale, right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Permanent industrial glue impossible to remove? Not anymore, because Handyman Formula by D-Bond is a patented chemical adhesive remover. It's used in the building and home maintenance industry, but now it's available for your home use, for your DIY projects. Unglue stickers, silicone rubber, labels, price tags, flex tape, weather stripping, carpet glue, wood glue, liquid nails, even 3M 5200. And it dissolves graffiti. Yeah, graffiti. Handyman Formula by D-Bond works, and it's safe to use on most surfaces. No need to call a professional. Don't get out the pliers and blowtorch. Just apply a little Handyman Formula by D-Bond and wait 90 seconds, then quickly and easily pull the items apart. Get unstuck. Visit dbondhandymanformula.com. That's dbondhandymanformula.com or call 561-575-4200. Handyman Formula by D-Bond.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Big birthday shout out to Fade or Not OG Deb Cox. 29 years old today. And my supplier of moonshine out of the great state of Texas. Happy birthday, Deb. Tonight, Ronnie Dugdale is here live from the UK. Tomorrow night is Christmas Eve. We're doing a very special Christmas Eve show tomorrow night with all of you. Open lines all night long. It's going to be great, so we'll see everybody tomorrow night. But tonight, it's all about Ronnie. Now, we're going to be talking about his research and his contribution to John Burroughs' new book into the Rendlesham Forest Incident. But I've got to note a few things here. Ronnie has been an independent paranormal investigator in the United Kingdom for a very, very long time. Just a few miles up the coast from the Rendlesham Forest, where his interest in the incident started very soon after everything started to take off. Ronnie has appeared on many radio shows, including the Behind the Paranormal Return to Rendlesham specials, and several appearances right here on KGRA's Phenomenon Radio with John Burroughs and Linda Moulton Howe. In May 2018, Ronnie gave a Rendlesham Forest Incident timeline presentation to a packed audience at the Woodbridge Community Hall, sharing the stage with his friends, investigators Brenda Butler, Chris Pennington, man, I haven't talked to Chris in a long time, and John Burroughs. He had a series of articles on the RFI published in Outer Limits magazine. The links to John's new book are right there on Fade to Black and throughout social media. I would like to welcome for the first time, and it's about time, to Fade to Black, Ronnie Dugdale. Ronnie, good evening. Good morning, actually, to you. How are you?
That is good morning, Jimmy, and thank you very much for inviting me on your show. I'm honored.
Yeah, no, the honor is all mine. But before we get started, Ronnie, first things first, you get the first-time guest disclaimer, which is, Ronnie, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends, and Where that conversation starts, it starts, and where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. There you go.
Good for me.
All right. Now, I kind of want to start with a general statement, Ronnie, before we talk about you. And that is this. I, along with everybody else, we have been investigating Rendlesham for a very long time. I've been knee deep in it now for over 25 years. And one thing, well, there's many, but one thing that has come up in and around Rendlesham over the years is you. I would see your name, right? And different thing. Well, Ronnie Dugdale says, right? I'm just like, and here we are 25 years later to finally get you on the show. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way, okay? And although you and I have talked about doing this for so long, I don't know why it's taken 7 years to finally get you on the show, but you're here, and I'm very excited about it. So that being said, let's go backwards first. Born in the UK?
Yep.
Parents?
Yep, UK.
And was this family upbringing in and around, Woodbridge and Rendlesham?
Just down the coast in Gorleston, near Great Yarmouth is where I was brought up, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I learned that about you, I just went straight to the map, and I was like, well, he was right there, right? And very cool area right there. Now, what were your parents like, and did they have an interest in UFOs?
No, Dad never had any interest in UFOs. He was a Royal Navy during the war and after. He worked off the coast where a lot of experiments were taking place, but would never talk about them. Mum was a clairvoyant medium, never charged anyone a penny, would help people, and was what we would call a seer. She even predicted the day of her death, and she died at 52.
Wait a minute here. Hold the phone. How cool is that? Mm-hmm. No, not the prediction of her death, that your mom was showing you that the world was not what it seems.
Absolutely. And Mum talked to me about a lot of things that we would call nowadays remote viewing.
Right.
Because she was doing that. And she would also talk about astral traveling, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners, the Fade Noughts, will know all about it. And when things were happening to me, she would explain what was happening.
Everything about you just became crystal clear, Ronnie. This is the thing. My mom was the same way, okay?
Yeah.
And into the same things. And I thought I was unique, right? I thought I was special, that I had a mom that was, crazy like that, that just didn't want to accept the world. And the more people that I meet, like yourself, I just find out that we've got so much in common, right? and I think that's great. But no UFO sightings from your parents, and nothing like that. UFOs were not discussed at the kitchen table.
No, UFOs were never discussed. Paranormal sightings were discussed. When I was a very small child, I would imagine maybe in between 9 and 10 years old, I had a sighting with a group of friends, where Mum and Dad lived, where I lived. At the back of our house was a playground, and beyond that was open fields. And I witnessed craftland, and I never talked about it, ever. Never spoke to anyone about it, and only about maybe 5 years ago through Facebook, one of the girls who was in that gang of kids contacted me, and first of all, just made a few pleasantries about, nice to speak to you after all these years. And then I was actually out walking my dog, and so I'm texting as I'm walking, and then she comes up with, "Did I imagine?" and went into the full story of what happened with the UFO. And so I asked her to describe it, and that was exactly how I remembered it. And as far as I know, out of a group of maybe 9 or more kids, she's the only person ever to talk about it. And why I put it at the back of my mind, I don't know. because it was such a bizarre thing. I don't even think we told our parents about it.
What did you see? Was it a classic flying saucer? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Okay, so what did you see?
No, absolutely not. That looked like, I mean, I come from a farming community, and what it looked like is a combine harvester, like a big tractor illuminated, and that came down slowly in the field like a spider would on a web, very slowly, and just sat there. And so we were just watching it in awe, and then with a blink of an eye, it's gone.
Oh, really? Well, that's a game changer. And so you keep this inside of yourself forever? Did you ever tell your parents? Did you ever tell anybody?
I don't think I did. I just can't remember. And I put it to the back of my mind until this person contacted me. And then that will come flooding back.
Why is it, Ronnie, that's a really good point. Why is it that so many have memories like that they put on the shelf? Because I've had them too. I haven't started to remember like these strange things because they happen in an instant and then you just put it on the shelf. Why is that?
I don't have no answers for that, Jimmy. You know, I don't know. I know that when I was a young child, Mum and Dad took me to the doctors because I was having what they thought was night terrors. And I would get these things come into my bedroom, and in particular one tall shadow person standing in the landing. I knew when that was going to happen because I'd get this weird buzzing sensation in the back of my neck. I knew when it was going to happen, and I couldn't talk, and I was paralyzed, and they said it was, or the doctor said, that was sleep paralysis. Now, the doctor wanted to give me electric shock treatment. They'd already done my brother. He'd had electric shock treatment.
Wow.
But my dad stepped in and put a stop to it, and I never had it done. And I found out on his deathbed why he stepped in and wouldn't allow it to be done. Because I used to see this person in my hallway, or this shadow person in my hallway, and obviously I was terrified, and these things around my bed. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought that was something spiritual. I thought there was ghosts.
And did they stop?
No. They followed me all through my adult life until I went away to sea at 15 years old. Nothing ever happened all the while I was away at sea. When I came back and got married and had a young family, and we moved to a house in a small village near Great Yarmouth, and they started again. But then that house did have a history of hauntings, so I put it down, till that was what was happening.
Yeah, it was haunted. Yeah.
Okay, so these went on for years, and then one day by chance I was at a yard sale, and I found a picture. I think you call them icons, that like the Polish and Russian have.
Sure.
And that was Madonna and Child, two angels in the side. And that was next to nothing, a few pennies, a few cents. And so I took it home and I hung it up, and from that day on, nothing has ever happened.
And do you still have it?
I can show you.
Yeah.
I can show you. Just a minute.
Okay, and as Ronnie's getting up, I'm looking, he's got his Christmas tree in the background. It's got a very elegant home, and now he's showing it. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, that'll scare the crap out of anything evil, right?
Yeah, so I paid 20 pence for this, and that's on wood, and that was dated to 1600s.
Yeah, I was going to say, you bought it for pennies, and it's probably worth $500,000.
Yeah, well,
it looks really old.
Yeah, that is really old, and when I went to my local museum and they authenticated it, they took a piece of the wood out and dendrodated it, and they said they'd like to buy it because that was a Polish icon. And when the Polish people, I don't know who they were fleeing, whatever, but they were on the road walking, they would keep this in their pocket, and all the crud around the outside, which I haven't cleaned. Why it was clean in the middle was because they'd say their prayers and kiss it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's
So anyway,
I'm going to tell the audience it's about an inch thick. It's a big piece of wood, and the icon is 3 inches by 6 inches. With Mary, Madonna and Child, I guess you would say that is.
yes, that's Madonna and Child, and the two angels I know are Archangel Michael or Michael and Archangel Gabriel, and I know that for a different reason because something happened on the day my sister died, and they visit me.
Oh, really? Oh, tell me about it. I want to know.
Okay, so my sister died very young, 42. She didn't die suddenly. She had cancer all over her body. She survived for probably 2 years more than what she should have done. So I've came home from the market. I sell on the market in the summertime, plants and flowers. And I'd done something I'd never done before. I lay down on my bed and went to sleep. My sister Geraldine was in hospital at the time, and I knew she was dying, but I didn't think she was going to die anytime soon because, you know, Jimmy, when people die of cancer, that's a long, drawn-out affair. And she'd been at hospital so many times, and they said that's going to be tomorrow. They said it was going to be tomorrow, and she lived for another 2 days after that. But I laid down, and when I woke up, the phone rang. And as the phone rang, I picked it up to answer it, and that was my brother-in-law. And I knew what he was going to say, that my sister had slipped away. And at the corner of my bedroom, at the far corner, was two angels. And these were the two angels of this icon, Michael and Gabriel. Now, they weren't how you'd imagine, life-size. These were about 12 to 18 inches tall.
Wow.
And they were just in the corner of the room, and there was a sensation of music like you would think from a biblical epic movie. You know, I was hearing this, and then I'm taking it all in, thinking, you know, I've got to watch this. This is something. Is it real? Is it in my imagination? And then slowly they went away.
How did you feel?
Well, I felt like maybe that was a message from my sister to say that this isn't the end and everything's all right now. That wasn't the end of everything what happened in this house where I live now. I'd had a few very weird experiences with all I can describe them as is...
I'm going to interrupt you. Turn around. As you said all of that, all of the ornaments on your tree just shook.
Well,
do you see them moving?
I can see a couple still moving, yeah. Yeah.
What's that? Is there any wind in there? What caused that?
No, we do have visitation to this house.
That is the Look, I don't talk about this kind of stuff on the show. It doesn't ever happen. I'm telling you, as you said that, all of the ornaments in your tree just started to, shake.
Yeah.
Wow. That was really cool, man. That was a moment. And I'm not recording this.
That's nice to know that, you know, when our loved ones pass, Jimmy, they don't just die. You know, they are still around us. I've had so much proof.
That was just, that was my hairs. That was pretty cool. Now I can't even look at you, Ronnie. I'm going to look at the ornaments in the background. Now, okay, let's move forward a little bit. Between all of this and in 1980, were UFOs a part of your life? Were you investigating? Were you researching? Did you have any other sightings? Any other tractors land in the yard outside?
No, that was the only one up until 1980.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, as things...
just a minute, Jimmy. There was. When I was a young lad, and I can't really pinpoint when, but I should imagine Mum wouldn't allow me out on my own. Maybe until I was 12 or 13. I was sea fishing down on the beach at Gorleston, and there was one other person, and he was 100 yards up the beach from me. And just off the coast, off the horizon, coming in close, was like a load of lights illuminating. And I'm stood there thinking, what the hell is it? And that looked just like, we have a fun fair park at Great Yarmouth called the Pleasure Beach. And that looked just like an amusement park, but off to the sea. And so this old chap come walking over to me, and he says, "Do you see what I see, son?" And I said, well, I see something that looks like a village or a city or something parked out off to the sea. And he said, yes. He said, don't, that's no good you telling your parents about it because they'll never believe you. They'll think you've gone mad. And that was it. But the strange twist in that is, Jimmy, years and years and years later, a chap come and saw me at my stall on the market and said, you've got some lovely plants, you know, where do you grow them and how do you do it? And I said, well, I have to transport them in my car. I have to do 3 or 4 journeys a day. And he said, well, when you finish the market, come and see me. And he was a market trader in a village just close to me. And I went round and seen him, and he had a big plot of land. And to cut a long story short, he said, there's all this land that's doing nothing. I'm finished. I'm retired. He said, it's a shame to see it go to waste. All that's ever done has caused me misery. But if you want to use it, you can. And that was the chap on the beach.
What?
Yeah, that was the chap on the beach.
What does that tell you about your mom, the universe, right? Our world around us? Things happen for a reason.
Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason, and that definitely did, didn't it? And, you know, we had many happy years with that. And the thing is, Jimmy, the guy never charged me a penny rent, ever. All the while I was there. Never charged me a penny rent. Yeah. I used to buy him things and treat him and look after him best I could because he was elderly, but he would not take a penny. He said he didn't need it, and he probably didn't need it, but he could have took it, but he didn't.
Now, what's the community like around there? Is it a high strangeness community? Is there, reports of UFO sightings or orbs or, just the paranormal and the supernatural?
Yeah, we live in a very strange area where I live. There's a few of my Facebook friends who I've met through Facebook, and they're in touch with things all the while, and I get messages. There's a white light orb coming over the sea. Have a look out your window, it's heading eastwards. There is things happen. Not many people look up to the skies, Jimmy, but the area where I live is steeped in paranormal activity. Just up the road, we've got the village of Hopton, and there is a ley line go right through the church there, where strange things happen. We've got a radar station now defunct at Hopton as well, where really strange things have happened and much sightings, including aliens inside the fence. I mean, this has all been reported in my local newspaper.
And the other part about it is you guys have real history there, right? Thousands of years. I live in Los Angeles. There's nothing older here than 50 years old, right?
Yes.
That's it. My ancient history is the oldest McDonald's, whatever. That's
okay.
But where you are, and especially in the southeast part of the UK, that's been occupied for thousands of years.
Absolutely. And just up the road inland from us is Beccles and Bungay, very historic, lots of paranormal activity there. Just down the coast to outside Rendlesham is Butler Village, the village where witchcraft was first reported to have been in England. The Rendlesham Forest itself still attracts covens, and the
Pagans?
Yeah, pagans meet there regularly and have their witches' covens. And Alistair Crowley, his society still meet there. And Alistair Crowley did rent a house in Woodbridge for several years.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And give us the lay of the land. You're just south. How far inland from the coast is Woodbridge?
Okay, I'm just north, actually.
You're just north, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Woodbridge is almost on the coast. You've just got marshes, really, and a couple of fields, and then you've got Butler Village, and then Tangham Forest, and then Woodbridge.
And Bentwaters, which is just north, and a lot of people say that they touch, but when you look at it on a map, there is a little bit of distance there between the two bases.
There is about 2 or 3 miles.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 miles. And Bentwaters, although it's just north, it's about the same distance inland, right? Maybe 2 miles.
Sorry, Woodbridge is nearest inland.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah.
And so, but they're both about 2 miles, right? Bentwater's a little further because of the angle of the coast, but they're not right on. The forest is in between both bases and the sea.
Yeah, that's right. You've got an area called the Sandlands, where mostly marshland. That's almost at sea level. Where Woodbridge and Bentwaters is, that's a little bit more elevated than what the rest is, and that's the only thing what grow there is trees.
Yeah, that's it. And I know the bases have been deactivated for a while. What are they used for now?
No, they're not deactivated. Woodbridge is used by the British Airborne Division.
Mm-hmm.
That's fully active. Bentwaters is an industrial park, but they do keep a lot of the facilities for the film industry and different things like that, you know.
Yeah,
and the Cold War Museum is at Bentwaters as well.
I just watched Good Omens, and I have the feeling, I went to go research it. I didn't get anywhere on it, but I think that the end of the series, I think it was filmed at Bentwaters. It looks just like it. And I have that feeling, and I knew that Bentwaters is probably all of these British television series, every time they show a runway or an Air Force base, it's probably Bentwaters. They do a lot of filming there now.
They do. There's the purpose-built film studios there as well. And Sarah Kimball, who's the daughter of the owner, the person had actually, Mr. Kimball owned the airbase after World War II, and the Ministry of Defence, they compulsory purchased of him, stole off him, really took it away from him, and then when it became available again, that passed back in his hands. So it's a really good business now. There's lots of businesses there, but they have kept everything to do with the Cold War or the USAF, when they've kept it all original, and that's people use it all the while for films.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Now, really quick, I've only got 30 seconds. In between Bentwaters and Woodbridge, there's a road there on Google Maps that is not labeled, so I don't know what the name of it is. But in the book, you always see the mention of Eastgate Road. Is Eastgate Road the road that I'm speaking about now, where in Google Maps it says Rendlesham Car Park, right?
Yeah.
So there's a parking lot there. Is that the Eastgate?
Absolutely.
That's
what we call the Eastgate Road. And what a lot of people don't realise, Jimmy, is that when the Americans leased RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, they also leased that road as well. So all this talk you hear of them not going off base with their guns and ammunition and stuff, they weren't breaking no States and Forces agreement. That was part of the deal.
Right. So for those in the audience tonight, you can go to Rendlesham Forest. You can look it up on Google Maps. You can click and go straight there and look at the road that is unlabeled. But in the middle of that road, right in between Rendlesham, between Woodbridge and Bentwaters, it says Rendlesham Car Park. And then that is the forest to the west, right? And that's exactly the area where everything went down.
To the west and the east.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's time for us to take our break. You just stay right there, Ronnie. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale. It's going to be a great night tonight and a great conversation. And I do want everybody to go over to Google Maps. Just do it. And Google Rendlesham Forest. Get the satellite image. Blow it up. And you will see where it says Rendlesham Car Park. And you can see it's right there in between Woodbridge and Bentwaters. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein the Ancient Crystal Skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale. Now, I've said it many times. I'll say it again. Ronnie's contribution to John Burroughs' new book,
written with James Worrow. Its importance and significance just cannot be measured. And it is a pleasure and honor to have Ronnie with us. But it doesn't actually start on the 26th, and for a lot of different reasons. But you need to get the book and get into the details. There's so much here that we don't have the time tonight to get into everything, the minutia, and the way that Ronnie has laid everything out. It's absolutely incredible. And even for a researcher like me that likes to think that I know it all, I learned so much from this. I can't tell you. Ronnie, I immediately called John. I'm like, dude, I'm learning stuff, right? Okay, now let's set the stage here. And this was a moment for me that I learned a lot and about how you were, in a very strange way, thrust into this. Now, you were working, right? What was your gig in and around the area when things started to kick off?
Okay, in up to and including 1980, my boss owned nightclubs in Lowestoft and Great Yarmouth, and because I rode a fast motorbike, sometimes he would say, can you just whip over to Yarmouth because that's kicking off over there, there's some US airmen in there, and I know you know them, and they're a bit unruly, and can you sort it out, or can you just go over there and help, or stand on the door? And I used to do this regularly. You know, it made nothing to me. I was halfway home if I was at Great Yarmouth, and I got to know quite a lot of the airmen, not all from Woodbridge and Bentwaters, but from Moulton Hall as well. Lake and Heath, you know, they used to come up there to chase the girls, I suppose. That 18, 19-year-old airman, a long way away from home. And I befriended quite a lot of them, you know, in that short period of time.
Now, I want everybody to go to Google so you can understand what Ronnie is describing to us and its importance. Because these nightclubs were frequent. I mean, we're talking about military personnel. You've got two bases there, and that's where everybody went to go blow off steam, right? That's it. These are nightclubs.
That was one of the places. I'm sure there was a lot more Ipswich and areas, but there was a certain crowd who used to always come to Great Yarmouth, you know, when they had their daily break. And several of them dated girls who I knew. I introduced some of them to their future wives. And the boss liked them being in the club because they spent good money. And there was another reason as well. I don't think there was many bottles of scotch behind the bar that didn't come through Bentwaters and Woodbridge.
Right. And so that it was obviously during this time where your life completely changed for you. I have asked many times, and again, this is brought out in the book, and I was glad that it was presented this way from you. I've asked everybody about what the chatter was around the base, right? After the 26th, then you get into the 27th, and so what was going on? Was this the conversation that was happening? Well, you worked at a nightclub. And that is exactly what happened with you. You started to hear the chatter.
Yeah, a few of them, a handful of them. Some of them looked a little bit distant and dazed and not normal, you know, and so I chat to them and ask them what the matter was. And then the story came out that something had happened in the woods. They'd experienced something that they didn't understand. And this must have been close to Christmas, maybe even Boxing Day. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the date. It's a long while ago, Jimmy.
Right.
So anyway, they told me this story. One person told me about a craft. The others just said that they were chasing lights through the woods. There'd been lots of sightings of lights around the base during the day and in the evening.
So you didn't, and I think that this is a very important moment for everybody to absorb right now, and it is this: you didn't get involved when Georgia Bruni, you know, released her book, or Jenny Reynolds, or Randall's. I'm sorry, no, you were hearing the chatter as it was happening in real time. So you've been involved and exposed to Rendlesham since the absolute very beginning.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, okay, so that being said, I want to go immediately to something that, again, I just learned about when I read the book, and that is the lights were seen a few days leading up to this. It didn't start with John Burroughs and Jim Pennington.
No, it didn't. No, there'd been several sightings up until John says he didn't hear anything about these sightings. Well, you wouldn't do if you're told to keep your mouth shut. But yeah, there was several sightings, not only just at Woodbridge and Bentwaters and Rendlesham, but up and down the coast as well. Near to where I lived in Gorleston, there was orbs seemed to be coming out of the sea. There was orbs seemed to be travelling, coming close to the beach and hovering, and then shooting along the coast towards Rendlesham. There was lots of activity going on.
And what the way that you compiled this information, which we're going to start to get into, you as a researcher, and you're starting to put all of this together. You did go backwards in time. You didn't stay right there with the witnesses through the 26th through New Year's. It was everything else and the other activity that was going on, and a lot of civilian sightings. What was going through your mind as you started to get all of this data? Because it all is connected, isn't it?
That is, and when all the sightings before 1980 really hit home was Brenda Butler. I'm sure you've heard of her. She was one of the authors in Sky Crash. She lives down at Leiston, just a stone's throw. In fact, she is Mrs. Rendlesham. She invited me to go through all her papers, no restrictions, everything. And what I found amongst them papers was absolutely blew me away. So this isn't something that just started in 1980. That had been going on for years before.
Now, and one other thing, so everybody can wrap their head around this, the details in your timeline. And I brought this up with John and James last week on the show. I'm sure you were listening. In that we're all familiar with Pennington and Houlton and Larry Warren and of course John Burroughs and Bustinza and we know these names. Yeah. You read your timeline, and now you find out that it's not those 5, 6, 7 guys. It's not a dozen. It's 50, maybe 100 different individuals are involved in this timeline. It was an extraordinarily complex situation involving a lot of people.
Yeah, there was. There's a lot of people involved. And there's an awful lot of people, Jimmy, who, for various reasons, don't want to come forward. But I'm proud to say that a lot of them are my friends, not just through Facebook, but over the years, and they've told me information, and they will say, please don't drop my name, because they are still working. Most military policemen end up their careers doing other government jobs, as policemen, and they don't want to be named. But I'm happy to say that I've been able to reach out to a lot of them to help me compile the timeline. The timeline's not mine, belongs to the previous researchers and also the SPs and airmen who are involved.
And that's the point. Did you have a giant wall, right, with all this information and your thumbtacks and strings? I don't know how you got it all together.
No, I don't, and that's all in my head.
That's all in your head. So right now, all of my questions, you don't have to refer to notes.
Absolutely not.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I would debate Rendlesham with anyone face to face, no computers or books or anything, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start right here. And that is the kid on his motorcycle. right? And this is about 9 o'clock at night or thereabouts. He's 17 years old. And that for me is where the action starts. What happened?
Well, he saw a craft over to what we call Capel Green now. And he was on his way home and he saw it. And we didn't take it any further than that, but he knew he'd seen nuts and bolts craft.
And who did he report it to?
I think to his parents, and that's it.
And didn't he describe it as being a triangle?
He did, yeah. There was lots of triangle sightings prior to the Rendlesham Forest Incident, and Woodbridge probably played home to some experimental craft being landed, because on several occasions the visitors to the base in the Rod and Gun Club or the officers, all ranks club, were told, under guard, you're not moving, you wait until we say you can go.
Now, how far is Capel Green from Rendlesham Forest proper?
That is in Rendlesham. Rendlesham Forest is a massive, expansive forest. Where the sightings took place at the end, at the east of the Eastgate Road, is Tangham Woods.
Right. Okay. And so that's what I'm bringing up here. So in relation to where Burroughs and Pennington and Holt ended up, where was this craft with the 17-year-old kid on his motorcycle?
Well, he was on the road that runs past the to the east of Capel Green. Well, the farmer's field. Capel Green isn't actually that field. It don't matter. Let's not go into that. The road that runs past in between Butley Abbey and that field that people call Capel Green is where he saw it, on that corner.
Yeah, I'm just looking at everything on the map here, and it's just fascinating to me. There's another part to this, and for everybody that is going over to Google Earth to look at this, everything east is farmland and forest, right? There's some houses, there's a few roads, but that's basically the area that we're talking about, all the way to the sea, right?
Well, east of Capel Green, there's no forest. That's, well, a little bit to the right, but just a little bit of trees. But the forest ends to the east of the final part of the forest is on the west side of Capel Green Field.
Right. Okay, so later that night, the Suffolk police get involved.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And now this is all before everything kicks off in Rendlesham Forest.
No.
Right? And
No, the Suffolk police didn't get involved until about 3 a.m. the following day.
Okay. But yes. See, you know too much. But this is on the same evening going into, this is the evening of the 26th, where the constables, Brophy and King, were at the law enforcement. They were over at RAF Bentwaters when the airmen started to report these lights.
No, that wasn't then, Jimmy. That was like on the last night.
Okay. See, even I'm getting a little bit confused.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised because it's very confusing. But what happened after John Burroughs and Ed Cabansack and Jim Pennington had their sighting, in the morning the police were informed, and they came out the next day and they done an investigation of the site. They weren't just involved once. They had a look at the site. They weren't very impressed. They went away. A little later in the day, after John and Jim had gone back, that they and also the officers went back. They were told that they'd found a landing site where they thought a craft had landed, and they informed Suffolk police, and they sent someone else back. And they're the photos that you see in Georgina Bruni's book.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, you are correct. That was all on the second night. I was thinking, and again, I'm not reading notes or going through this. Yeah. I thought that before Pennington and Burroughs went into the forest that night, that there were reports going into the Suffolk police station. That did not happen?
No, absolutely not. The first time that the Suffolk police were involved, and Nick Redfern found this out. Nick Redfern has been on your show. Yeah, he sent a Freedom of Information request to the Suffolk police, and he found out that they received a call on the 27th into the 28th, so it had been early hours of the morning, the 28th, and at 3:30 or something a.m., and they said that they were taken. That they'd seen something out there, and they requested them to go out.
Right. Okay. So, and the other is the lighthouse still there? By the way,
no, it's only just the last month. Jimmy, has been dismantled.
Yeah. I've tried to find it, and it's not there now. But also at 9:00 that first night before Pennington and Burroughs went in the woods, there was a meteor shower, right?
Absolutely.
Wasn't there was meteor activity that was going on?
Yeah, there was, and also there was lots of lights in the sky over southeast England, and that was the rocket stage of a satellite that was breaking up.
All of this on the same night.
On the same night.
And so were reports coming in about that, and there was also reports of. Again, I want you to refresh my memory before we get into the real details here. Did something in and around that lighthouse? Did something crash into the sea?
Yeah, there was reports of something. No, not crash into the sea. Left from the sea.
Oh, it came out of the water.
Out of the sea, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then everything obviously kicks off, and the calls come in about these lights in the forest. Do you have any idea who made those first calls before Pennington and Burroughs were contacted?
No, but there was John didn't find out until years later that something had happened earlier on in the shift, and I think it was Tim Edgerick, one of the SPs, and he had said that on changeover of the shifts that he had heard that something was going off there. There'd been sightings of strange lights.
Now, one of the names that many are probably not familiar with is Bud Steffens.
Yeah.
And tell us about Bud and who was he? How long was he on the base before everything kicked off?
Well, I'm not sure how long he'd been on the base, but he was John's supervisor on the evening, so he was a superior rank to John. And Christmas time, things were a little bit more relaxed, but he asked John if he would like to travel around him to do his rounds to get to know him better. But since then, through John, I've found that there's a little bit more to that story than meets the eye.
And what is that?
Well, the AFOSI, the Air Force Office of Special Investigation, there was a problem on Bentwaters and Woodbridge with drugs. No two ways about it, there was. There was a lot of drugs being peddled, and there was a lot of drugs coming in and out. And we've got to remember, this is in the time of the Cold War, and also there was a problem with the IRA. So that was high on the priority, the AFOSI. They were staked out that night. And you'll have to ask John, but I believe that Steffens picked up John to keep him out of the way, because John was no man's fool. You know, he was a proper cop. If you was out of line and you was doing something wrong, you're going to get your ass kicked. So maybe that's why. Well, you've seen the size of John.
Yes, he's a big boy.
No one in their right mind is going to argue with John. So maybe Steffens picked him up to get him out of the way, not to get to know him better.
I got you. Right. Now, I brought this up. We're going to head towards a break. I brought this up with John last week, which is this. There is a 3-hour discrepancy that is happening here. Pennington says everything kicked off at around midnight.
Yeah.
Burroughs seems to think it was around 3 a.m. There were other reports that it was actually 2 a.m., and a lot of people said that they remember it being 2 a.m. Where do we stand on this?
Okay, so Jim seems to remember it as being just after midnight. John said 3 o'clock. I asked people who I know who were not in the firing line but listening to the radio chatter, and on that night, and there are people who don't want to come forward with the information but have to honour their, that they want to keep anonymous, and they told me that judging by how much they had to do up until that time, that had to be at least 2 a.m.
Now, I think my point in this is that this was a very significant event, emotionally, psychologically, very traumatic for all of them. And I think there's some missing time here. I think everybody just remembers it the way that they do because that's what's in their brain. I don't think it was a mistake, right? That's why I want to drive this point home.
Yeah, I don't believe anyone, Jimmy, is making a mistake. I believe that whatever they believe is the truth. But there was definitely maybe, that's contradiction in terms. But I feel that there was, maybe there was something happening with the time. I don't know how to describe it better than that. We were experimenting with an awful lot of things off the East Coast at the time, and I think possibly time came into that.
I do, and 12 midnight and 3 a.m. That's two different memories that are going on here, and I think that they're both correct memories. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone involved, what they're saying is what they believe.
Right.
I'm sure that everyone, even with if you took into account that their memories are different, if they were to have a polygraph test, they'd pass because they believe that's what happened.
Now, all of this information, which I think is very important, but we're going to mention this and we're going to follow up when we come back from the break. But it was Bud Steffens that saw the lights first.
Absolutely, yeah. John and Bud were driving up towards the East Gate. There was just a bar gate with a combination lock. And because that was a cut through between the bases, lots of people knew the combination. Sometimes that would be left insecure. So that was one of the places they used to go. So as Bud and John drove up to it, Bud was the first person to see it. And he sees something come down into the woods just east of the Eastgate Road.
Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale. See, even my memory's a little foggy. Got a lot to talk about tonight. More when we come back after this short break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Old New England Soap is committed to producing the highest quality organic and goat milk soaps available anywhere. We take pride in using the purest ingredients and avoiding the typical shortcuts used by other soap makers. Because goat milk is what feeds your skin, we have formulated our soap to use the maximum amount of goat milk possible, 38%, more than double any other brand. Not because it's easy, but because our soap is always better. We are proud to offer you what we consider to be truly premium quality handmade soaps. What's more, our soap does not contain GMO ingredients, pesticides, sulfates, dyes, artificial colors, alcohol, or petroleum products. Try our new shampoo bar and pooch soap, and be sure to see all of the great scented Woodwick soy candles that burn soot-free for up to 100 hours. Right now, save 15% on your order and get free shipping on orders over $45. Buy now at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. Not available in stores. oldnesoap.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Ronnie Dugdale, live from the United Kingdom. Before we get back to Ronnie, I just want to mention last year, this is where I talk about Virtual Shield VPN. You can see all of my computers here. You know what I use, Virtual Shield VPN. And this is the deal. Tons of tech platforms right now have stopped their COVID-19 relief discounts, but not Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield continues to offer its loyal customers a whopping 50% discount off of all of their plans for life. Now, I don't like being spied on. That's it. I surf the internet. I browse the internet anonymously and securely. If you want to do it just like I do, it's simple. Please visit virtualshield.com/Fade to Black. Head over to our website. All of the advertisements and banners are right there. You can click, or head down to the description box below in this video and click. And when you do, you get to check out Virtual Shield VPN for free today. Go and do it. All right, back to it. Now, this is where everything starts to kick off here. And Bud Steffens, once again, Ronnie, I want to let everybody know. He's a name that people don't associate or know much about when it comes to Rendlesham. But he saw the lights first, didn't he?
He did, and he was John's supervisor that night. And probably why his name never comes up is because after they saw the lights in the forest for the first time from the gate, they went. John and Bud went down to drove down, unlocked the gate, drove down the East Gate Road, and they saw lights in the forest. And there was a big white light and there was other coloured lights around it. The big white light moved towards them. And at that, John and Bud took off, went back to the Eastgate Road and called it in. And I think that frightened Bud enough not to want to know anything about it. Maybe. Or maybe he knew about the drug stakeout and thought maybe that was something to do with the OSI, and so he weren't going to get involved anyway. We don't know.
Now, from Eastgate Road, I know you've been there many times. You know the area. You live near there. Was it the lighthouse? I mean, I want your opinion.
Jimmy, from the Eastgate Road, even when it had a stronger light bulb than what it did in the last few years, that would appear like a star on the horizon. It was 6 miles away, 6.3 miles away from the Eastgate. Now, I don't know because I've never been down there in them days, but they told me that if you stood in a certain part of the forest, you could see like a sweep of light or a blink of light somewhere. But there was a shield at the back of the lighthouse stopping the light shine. I mean, you don't need a lighthouse shining onto the land. So there was a metal shield. But that could be seen as like a blink and then nothing, then blink, then nothing. But that was not the lighthouse.
And what happens next here? Steffens and Burroughs, they hightail it to the gate because there was a guardhouse there, right? And there's an actual landline.
Yeah, so anyway, Bud and John went down to the bottom of the road and observed the lights. Didn't like what they were feeling and seeing. The hairs on their arms were standing up, and they got this white light move towards them as if mirroring their movements. So they turned around and shot back to the Eastgate Road, which is a few hundred yards. And because in them days, Jimmy, a lot of people used to listen in on the CB radios to listen to the chatter. So they were told if anything ever happened like that, they were to use the landline. So John gets on the landline and he rings the security desk and tells them, I think it was David Coffey on the security desk, anyway, it doesn't matter, and told them that there was some weird lights going off and they didn't like what they were seeing. And he thought that was John messing about because John was a practical joker, and being Christmas, they were expecting something. But when he handed the phone over to Bud Steffens, and Bud Steffens told him exactly what he'd said, he realised there was something else. He still didn't quite believe him, so he said he'd put a call through to the Central Security Control, knowing that if he'd done that, John would go, whoa, 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 that's enough, you know, it's just a Christmas prank. But he didn't, and then he knew there was something serious going on. And so then he got in contact with Jim Penniston. And Jim Penniston, I think, was the on-duty flight chief that night. And he said, what's going on? What's the nature of the call? And they said, we'd rather you didn't know. You need to rendezvous down to the East Gate and speak to Staff Sergeant Bud Steffens and Airman First Class John Burroughs, and they will fill you in. And that's what happened. Penniston made his way. Ed Kabansak was very new to the base. I think that was either his first or second night on flight, and he was the member, he was the driver that night, drove him down to the East Gate, and then the conversation started. What have you seen? I think Bud Steffens said, if you don't believe me, you need to come down here because the lights are still visible.
Now, and Kabansak, he was Penniston's driver. Right?
Yeah.
Penniston, he's got rank, but he's also got security clearances. You know, he had his position. Kabansak, he is introduced to all of this because he was Penniston's driver.
Absolutely. Kabansak was absolutely new to the base. He'd just come out of school, joined the base, and there he is. He's involved with the full-blown UFO situation.
Now, what happened?
He thought that was a fraternity prank.
That's right.
He thought because he was new, they were going to get him down there, throw him in a puddle, you know, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, some hazing. He thought it was hazing.
Yeah.
And so Cabin Sag driving, him and Pennington pull up to Eastgate. What happens next?
Bud Stephens goes over and speaks to Jim, and Jim says, "What happened? You know, is it an aircraft crash?" And he said, "Didn't crash, it landed."
Now, one other thing, really quick, I just want to get this in. It's this is the holiday season. The base is slowing down on its activity. So there wasn't a whole lot of aircraft arriving or taking off at the bases, were there?
No, there was nothing that was shut down.
Yeah. So what was going on? Now, let's get off the base for a second. What was going on, let's say, over at Woulton or Heathrow?
Okay, so when we've got to skip forward a bit. When Jim Pennington gets on the landline and says that he feels he needs to do an investigation, and so then the Central Security Control contacted RF1 and I think it was Heathrow, and they said yes, they did track a bogey, and that went off their They went off their radar scans just over over Woodbridge.
So they tracked him to Rendlesham.
Absolutely.
Now, how significant in all of this? How significant is this point?
Well, if it had not been for that, Jim would never have got the clearance to go off base.
Right. And so now, I mean, I think for myself, looking into this, this goes from the possibility of the lighthouse or something else that, you know, it's just not that big of a deal, to you've got the lights in the forest, you've got reports coming from Stephens of something going into the forest, and you've also got now radar tracks coming from another Royal Air Force base, Woulton, and London's Heathrow. So now you can start to connect the dots here.
Absolutely. Like I say, if it weren't for that, they would never have been allowed to go off base.
Now, what was Stephens' attitude at this point? And was everybody stable, or were they starting to freak out?
Nope. Bud Stephens was not going to go back in that forest if you paid him £1 million. He was terrified. Whether that was because of what people had told him before about lights, and there'd been reports around the bases before then about these mysterious lights, or whether that was what he encountered when he got to the bottom of the escape road with John and the white light came towards him, he was not going to go off that base. He refused.
So that's why it was Cabin Sag, Pennington, and Burroughs.
Yeah.
It wasn't 4, it was 3.
Yes.
So I'm with Bud, right?
Me too.
I'm with Bud. I'll stay on this side of the fence, and you guys report back to me. But that's basically what happened. So Bud Stephens stays back, and it was Pennington, Cabin Sag, and Burroughs that chose to go into the woods.
Well, I don't think anyone chose. I think Jim Pennington, being the commanding officer, told him, you're going to go.
Okay. Semantics, but you understand my point. It could have been 4, but instead it was 3.
Yeah, and I think John was up for it anyway. Well, he would be.
Well, see, I keep bringing this up, but I'll say it again. Burroughs is like 6'8". And back then, not a serious 6'8", not an exaggerated 6'8". He's a big guy, and back then he's young, he's in shape, and a bit crazy. So yeah, I'm sure he was willing to go into the forest, no doubt. He would accept the orders.
Jimmy, he had the reputation of being a strict cop. If he was breaking the law, you better watch out.
He's kind of intimidating like that today too as well. He's just a big guy, and you need to. The first time you meet or see John Burroughs, you're not expecting that. And we keep talking about it, but you're not expecting it. He's been the tallest man in the room his entire life. He's just a big guy. Okay, so now I want to talk about Cabin Sag for a moment because we talk about Burroughs and Jim so much in all of this. Have you had a chance to sit down and talk with Ed? No, I haven't, but I've had I have contact who's in close contact with Cab. Cab, for various reasons, doesn't want to be involved in this anymore. And I think that stems back to he'd done a couple of interviews. One of them was with CNN with Chuck DeCaro. Right.
And the other one, I think, was with James Fox, who's on the show last week, with whatever that was called, Out of the Blue or something. After that, he got investigated by the, is it called the IRS in United States, the Revenue Service?
Yes.
Yeah, and he feels, or his sister feels, that was because he spoke out. And so he's been very quiet since.
Yeah, the IRS will scare the crap out of you.
Well, it scared the crap out of Cab.
Yeah, it did. What do you think in looking at everything around Ed Cabinzag? Do you think that he saw everything that Pennington and Burroughs did?
Not everything. He saw everything at the beginning, up until when Jim says the craft landed and he'd done his walk round, and he remembers everything from the end, but he can't remember anything from the middle.
Yeah, it's a very strange part to this saga.
Yeah.
Okay, so now they all head in and they are approaching the lights. I think at that point they started to realize, and I want your research here, that this isn't a joke, right? This isn't a prank. And the reason why I bring that up, and let's talk about that now, it's been chattered about, and it started about a year ago. I don't want to get into details or pointing fingers, but that this was just a prank by the RAF on U.S. servicemen. Can we put the kibosh on that right now?
Well, I don't think we can put the kibosh on anything, Jimmy, but talking to the witnesses who I've known over the years, this was not a prank of any proportions. I mean, Cabansack thought he was in for a prank. On his way towards the lights, he soon realised that was not a joke. Looking on the expressions and the way John and Jim were acting, he knew then that was no fraternity prank. He knew this was a real-life situation.
And what was the environment? You know, what was the environment? What were the animals doing? What was the forest like? What was going on around them?
Okay, in several situations throughout this whole RFI, the animals acted up. And you can walk through the Rendlesham Forest, you will not hear an animal. But when they act up, the deer bleat, and the owls hoot, and the birds fly. And apparently when the situation took, at one stage when John and Jim were approaching the craft, all hell let loose. The farm animals in the farm, which is a couple of miles away, were all going crazy. There was something that spooked the animals.
And so we've got the forest is now, well, it's lit up, but it's lit up with noise. Right, so we've got all of that activity going on. These guys are in the woods. The reports of the lights are happening. What's going on back at Bentwaters and Woodbridge?
Well, we don't know, Jim, because Jim Penniston was reporting back to the CSC all the while on the radio, and he was hearing nothing back.
And
but airmen have told me that they heard the commotion going on over the radio. that the animals were acting up and they were going crazy. And one airman in particular has told me that he heard the situation where Jim Penniston was saying that the craft is definitely a nuts and bolts craft that's 100 feet in front of me. And in the next breath, he was breathing heavily and he was saying, "Do you copy that the craft is now behind me?"
And I believe somebody said UFO over the radio.
No, I don't know if he did. I think Jim always referred to it as a craft of unknown origin.
Okay.
Oh no. You're right, Jimmy. There was a report over the radio saying something about there's a report of a UFO in the forest.
Right.
I don't think that was anything to do with Jim.
Okay, but it starts happening with the radio chatter. This is just my memory. You can stop me and correct me at any point. Trust me. But this is a name that is pretty significant. But it came up for me for the first time, and that's Bertolino. And Bertolino is with somebody. And they also have a sighting between the bases.
Yes. This is on the next night, the 26th into the 27th. Bertolino and a few other SPs were patrolling the perimeter of the base, and they saw lights in the sky. And the way they've been described to me, Jimmy, is that they were there at one moment, and then they were blinked out, and they were somewhere else, half a mile away, and this was going on. And someone stupidly remarked that were the UK celebrating Old Year's Night on a different night. But where Bertolino comes into it is on the 26th, Laurie Bowen, 18-year-old airman, down on the East Gate, and that wasn't a gate that was normally kept in patrol. She was put on that gate that night, and she saw a big orange orb come over her. If you know where the East Gate Road is, she's at the East Gate, and she saw this big orange orb that she described as like if you had handfuls of fire and you put them all together. That was what she saw. And I went over the runway, so we're talking north of the runway, and descend into the Rendlesham Forest. And she called it in because she was scared. She was scared, and Bertolino was the airman that they sent down. I think it was Police 5. They sent him down to console her.
Yeah, but and that was the second night. But on the first night, when Penniston and Cabansag and Burroughs were in the forest, didn't Bertolino, who was also on patrol, they went to the top of Bunker Hill?
They did, and they watched some lights, yeah.
Yeah, so they were watching the forest while the three of them were heading in to investigate the lights.
Yeah, they were watching the lights until the call came over the radio that there was to be no more transmissions on the radio, and they knew that there was no point watching anything else.
Now,
sorry, Jimmy. I'm sorry. I've made a big mistake. It wasn't Bertolino on the second night with Laurie Bowen. It was John Tremontosi.
Yes. Okay. See? Okay. Yeah. I'm 57 years old, and I'm worried about losing my mind. So and I just want to make sure, because I learned so much from this timeline, Ronnie, that you have put together. And I didn't know, and I think that most of us didn't know. We just assumed it was the three of those, the three of them in the forest investigating these lights. And there wasn't other confirmation, and there wasn't other Air Force personnel involved in this. And it turns out there was. And Bertolino and his partner hear about this. They climb up on top of Bunker Hill so they could get a vantage point looking into Rendlesham, and they have their own sighting. They see... Now, didn't Bertolino describe this as giant? The light.
Mm-hmm. How Bertolino described it, he said that was a really weird light that seemed to be lighting up part of the forest, but in a dome-like.
Right.
So like the light didn't radiate out. That went like a dome, like a mushroom shape, and not beyond that. So that was a really weird light.
Yeah, he said it was the size of a football pitch.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that's big, right?
Yeah. For a light that's big, yeah.
Yes, and okay, so now we've got Bertolino. He's on Bunker Hill. We've got Cabin Sag, Pennington, and Burroughs in the forest. What happens next?
When Bertolino and Pennington and Burroughs approach where the light is, well, as they approach the light, Jim Pennington is in the lead. John Burroughs is a little bit further back, and then there's Cabansack. As they reach the berm, this is where the story differs for everyone involved. John says that the light intensified and that was it. He can't remember any more after that. Cabansack says the same, but then Jim's experienced a completely different situation.
Now, John, I've got about a minute and a half before the break. John has said, Jim has said pretty much the same thing, that they go up to the berm and they lay down, right? And they kind of peek over the top.
Yeah.
And Burroughs, which I think is extraordinary to hear his words, they were right on top of this thing, right? They lay down, Cabin Sag is behind them. But Burroughs, and I just do this in my own mind, he's on the edge of this berm, and he peeks up, and he takes a pretty good solid look at this craft.
Yeah, according to Jim Pennington's testimony, he'd done a walk around the craft.
How crazy is this? Right.
You'd have to be pretty crazy.
And Cabin Sag is behind them. You've got Pennington and Burroughs lying on their stomachs, looking over this hill at this UFO, this landed craft in the forest. What's Cabin Sag doing?
Well, the thing is, John doesn't remember anything from that time. He doesn't remember, and Cabansack doesn't either. And Jim says that John was... forgive me if I'm wrong, but so many yards back on the right, and Cabansack was 60 yards back on the left. And he could see that Cabansack wasn't moving.
And wasn't it Burroughs that when he came to, didn't he notice that Cabansack wasn't responding?
No, that was Jim.
Oh, that was Pennington. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of had to shake him a bit, didn't he?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if he was 60 feet away, there's no way you could shake him.
No, I mean after the event.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. All right, we need to take a break right here. There's so much more to go through. I am your host, Jimmy Church, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale. The new book, Weaponization of a UAP, is now available both in softcover and Kindle on Amazon. We've got the links up right now. Stay with us. More with Ronnie after the short break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend. Let's face it, you've always wanted to do a sky watch and see your first UFO. Today, it's easy. Just get your own HP7 3B Cobalt Jimmy Church Edition night vision goggles from Hoffman's Optics. This is the same U.S. military system that I use, featuring a Generation 3 blue phosphor image tube. That's right, it's blue, not black and green. This is the only blue system in the world, and it's waterproof, lightweight, combat-proof, simple to use, and ready to go. Hoffman's Optics helped create night vision sky watches, and now you can see what everyone has been talking about each night from your own backyard. Just call 760-231-9929. That's 760-231-9929. You can click on the banners on our site or visit UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. That's UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Ronnie Dugdale, live from the UK. Ronnie's contribution to the new book by John Burroughs, Weaponization of a UAP, is extraordinary, and it is detailed. And this is what we're going to do now. We're going to jump way ahead. The testimony of the sighting, all documented. It's all in the book, and the way that it is laid out here by Ronnie it's just an amazing read. But we got to go way past that to what I think is one of the most significant moments. And also, Ronnie, you're dropping names. Did you? And we're going to go through that right now. But were you concerned about that in all of this, where so many individuals now are named named in the timeline? Did you have to reach out to everybody individually and say, hey, you're going to be a part of this book? How did you handle that briefly, if you will?
Yeah, sure. The names that are named in the timeline are the people who don't worry. The people who aren't named are the ones that I have to keep in my head for various reasons, mostly because they're still working for the government.
Okay, because now everybody leaves the force. We're gonna jump ahead, and where Pennington now is immediately told that the captain wants to see him, right?
Yeah,
and
Captain
you have Master Sergeant Chandler that gets into play here. Now he's told that the captain wants to see him, and he heads over to Central Security, and where he is met by Sergeant Coffey. He is also wasn't Pennington at this point told to turn in his weapon?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he had his weapon out there. I think maybe John can answer this. He might have had his sidearm with him.
Right.
But no, when he spoke to David Coffey, he was there's a form that they have to do, and forgive me, I can't remember the details of it.
The DD 1569.
That's the one, Jimmy. When he got there, that was already written out for him. So then Jim knew that everything he'd been reporting, because he's not hearing anything back on the radio chatter, he's reporting every 15 minutes. He's reporting all the while what's happening, not knowing that they can hear him, hoping that they can hear him, because the last thing Jim wanted was other people out there until he'd done his assessment of it. And so when he got back to the Central Security Control, he then realised that they had listened to everything, and that was already written out for him. Jim looked at it and he checked it over, the dates and times and everything lined up. So we said, that's fine, that's great, that saved me a job.
So, yeah, well, Pennington, I can imagine, right? He wants to fill out the incident report and have the honor of doing that. It's his job, right? So you're going to go in and you're going to fill it out. Well, that didn't happen. It was already filled out for him. Right.
Absolutely. He's the boss. He's told John, you don't say anything. Leave it to me. John was quite happy with that. Of course he is. He didn't want to say anything. On the way back to the Central Security Control, the biggest worry for John is, what are we going to say? What are we going to, how do you report a UFO sighting? So he was quite happy.
Burroughs is with him. Did Pennington want to take control of the whole thing at that point?
Well, that was his job too, and he did.
Right. And so did John have an opportunity to give a statement at that point?
And not at that point. He just let Jim do his job.
He let Jim do all the talking, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got Fred Skip, that's his nickname, Burroughs.
Skip Burroughs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the on-duty flight security officer. He's there, but before he left, then we have Captain Mike Verano. What did he say to Skip at that point?
Well, Skip was he was due to go off on leave, so he left it all to Captain Mike Verano.
What did Skip know at that point? Had he seen the incident report? Was he completely familiar with everything that went down with Burroughs and Pennington and Cabin Sag?
I'm sure he would have been, yeah. They were listening to the radio reports coming in.
Because he has to turn around and, I want everybody to understand here, it's just not Pennington and Burroughs at this point. We've got everybody on the base that is involved in this. So we have the deputy squadron commander, Malcolm Zickler, and of course the base commander, Colonel Conrad, and all of them are getting involved.
Yeah, Malcolm Ziegler, wasn't he? He was the chief of the 81st Police.
Of the 81st Security Police at the base.
Absolutely, yeah. And there was Conrad, and I'm sure there was the wing commander, Williams, as well. I'm sure they were all listening.
And
they would not have been. They would have been they would have been listening.
And Ronnie, at this point, were people using those 3 letters? Were they saying UFO?
Well, no one knew of them as UAP at that time, so I'm sure they were saying they would call them unexplained lights.
Right, and was Pennington at this point? He gives his version of the story, right?
Yeah.
But I think Pennington in his interviews with me, he didn't want to say UFO.
No, he called it a craft of unknown origin. Good call on this point.
Right. And, one of the extraordinary moments, which is in the timeline here, Verano then says to everybody, and I'm quoting, he says, "Gentlemen, Project Blue Book ended in 1969. There's simply no way to report this. What I want you to do is forget about it, take 3 days off, and leave us to handle it now."
Yeah, I'm sure that would have suited everyone if they'd have just forgot about it. Yeah.
So now let's jump ahead. Let's get to Lori.
Yeah.
And the second night, we're jumping events here, and I'm looking at the clock. We've got way too much stuff to cover. Everybody wants,
I agree,
yeah, and everybody wants to talk about the first and the third nights. I understand that. The second night, it was probably just as significant as the first and third nights, wasn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I think all events before the RFI and after, they're all significant.
And so we started to talk about Lori, the kid on the motorcycle, Suffolk police. All of this is starting to kick off.
Yeah.
So take us through that. What started first? I guess on the second night, was it the motorcycle sighting?
No. The second night was the motorcycle was on the first night. The second night was when Laurie's on the East Gate, and that's a perimeter point that isn't normally manned, but maybe they thought because of what happened with Burroughs and Pennington and Cabansec on the first night, they need to get eyes on the ground. So poor old Laurie, 18-year-old, sent down the East Gate on her own. Well, if you know the area, Jimmy, it is pitch black. It's a scary area anyway. She's on the East Gate, and all of a sudden she sees this great fiery orb come overhead her, which she describes as looking like handfuls of fire in the sky. It goes over north towards the runway, over the runway, and descends somewhere into the Rendlesham Forest. So she's scared as hell, and she phones it through on the landline and says what's happened. She's scared, and that was when they sent John Trematosi, who was Police 5, down to comfort her and stand with her. So then John Trematosi comes. He's already had his sighting during the day. And I sat there and I sat on the bonnet of the police cruiser and I listened to everything on the Motorola radio that's going off. And that's when Lieutenant Bonnie Tamblin was sent with Master Sergeant Bob Ball to investigate what Laurie had seen.
And now we've also got, and you brought him up earlier, John Trematosi.
Yeah. He's the guy who came down, Police 5, because she was scared as hell, and he was sent there to comfort her.
Now, did he see anything?
Yeah, he'd seen sightings during the day where he'd seen these lights in the sky moving from one area to another when he was on a police perimeter patrol. But while he's there with her, he didn't see what Laurie had seen by radio, what happened to Laurie, Bonnie Tamblin.
And so he sees lights, but they're not blinking. These are steady lights. He calls these in too as well.
He sees them, and they're in one area, and they blink off, and they come up in another area, like miles apart. and they're watching this for a long while.
And now we have Shift Commander Bonnie Tamplin. She gets the call, doesn't she?
She gets the call. Laurie phoned her in, and she's then on her way down from Bentwaters to investigate. And I know that it happened because I spoke to some SPs who were on the gate of the Butley Gate, which is the gate nearest to Woodbridge, where they would have gone out. And he saw them coming, and he also saw them later in the day after they came back.
And this is what is so amazing to me is now we have a series of calls, and this is it's important to note, this is the military. You are always going to report what's going on. You're going to call the people above you, and then they're going to make a call because that's what happens here. Lori and Trementazzi, they call it in, right? Yeah. Now Tamplin turns around. She calls Master Sergeant Bob Ball, and she's like, you got to check this out. And then you've got Airman Belinda Cookie Green, who was there working as well. There were a lot of witnesses to what went down on the second night.
There was, but Cookie, she wasn't involved until she was told to pick up, that there were some people to pick up. She used to work supply.
Delivery, right.
Yes, delivery. In between Bentwaters and Woodbridge. And she was told that there was some personnel she needed to pick up, and she saw Bonnie and Bob Ball by the side of the road, and she stopped and picked them up and took them back to Bentwaters.
Now, was it at this point, do you think that John and Pennington thought it was a single event, right, the night before? Now it's the 27th, and they thought it was just a normal day. And now we have a second day of sightings, right?
John never knew anything about this until the third night when he felt what's the word? He felt compelled to go back to the forest, and he turned up at the law enforcement desk, and someone told him that something was going on the night before with Bonnie Tamplin, and that she had been aerobaced out.
Now, this is the 26th and the 27th. You're working at the nightclubs. Was this the chatter that you started to hear coming through?
I never heard anything about Bonnie Tamplin.
No. I'm just talking about all of these events on these first two nights. With all these names that are popping up and things, were you able to tie this back to what you were hearing in the nightclub?
No names, Jimmy. I never heard any names. All I heard that was something seriously went on in the woods. They were chasing, I was told, craft by one person and lights by everyone else.
Yeah, and was this, this is happening in real time, so I'm asking you, Ronnie, was this on the 27th when you started to hear the chatter?
I'm not absolutely sure, Jimmy, but that was after Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, it was after Christmas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That could, I think, personally, I think it was Boxing Day, but I can't be 100% certain.
Now, this is the next important point in the timeline that isn't discussed much, but it's here, and that is this is when Colonel Conrad orders an investigation.
Yeah. Well, according to Bruce England, he turned up. Sorry, Jimmy, I'm getting blocked.
That's okay. Well, Zickler's there. Conrad's involved. He orders the investigation, and that's when Lieutenant Bruce England called in Monroe Nevels, who was...
It's okay, Jimmy, I've got it back. Bruce England turned up at Monroe Nevels' house and said that he was there on the orders of Colonel Conrad, and that he'd heard that John Burroughs had been taken up and abducted by a craft, and they had to go to the Rendlesham Forest to conduct an investigation. And when he first turned up at Munro Neville's door, he was very secretive and careful. And he says to Munro Neville, "Is there anyone here who can hear our conversation?" And so Munro Neville said, "Well, it's my 3-year-old daughter." And so Bruce England said, "Well, can she understand what we're talking about?" And he went, "Well, I don't know what are you going to talk about? I don't know. I don't think so." And so then he told him the story that Edmund Burroughs was either taken up or abducted into a craft.
So
and that Colonel Conrad had asked them, because he could rely on their honesty, to report back to him.
And so they head off. They head off to the forest.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And they take some equipment with them, and they go out and check things out. And Monroe reports a sighting with the night vision goggles. What did he see?
Well, he's in the vehicle. They've walked all around trying to look for where the landing site was from the previous night, which I'm sure Lieutenant England would have known because he was there in the morning investigating it. And what Munro Neville sees, he sees a bright light. They're about to leave, and he's looking through his night vision goggles. Now, when he opens his vehicle door, the light becomes bright. When he closes it, the light diminishes. So it's like it's almost interacting with him. And so Munro Neville, after that, says, "I think I've seen all we need to see. We need to report this in." And off they go to the officers' Christmas party.
Now, which is where Halt comes into play.
Absolutely, yeah.
But one thing happens here between Neville's and Monroe that also was reported by Halt later on, as he's got to go and get changed. He's at the Christmas party.
Yeah.
But it was this. Neville's and Monroe said that what they saw was something that looked like an eyeball.
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you this. That eyeball report from Neville's and Monroe, which most people that know about RFI don't know about their sighting, and what they reported specifically, the keyword eyeball. Is there any way that Halt could have known that? Because Halt reported the exact same thing once he got on the scene.
No, I don't think so, Jimmy, but I can tell you this. There was numerous airmen have reported the same thing to me that happened days before the RFI. That was an eyeball, looked like an eyeball winking at you. And one of them was Smithy, Michael Stacey Smith. He reported the same thing, and this was days before the RFI. And he and the person who was with him, one of them jumped the perimeter fence and guarding him, and they were ready to rock and roll and take the object down.
And so is it your opinion that it is beyond coincidence that everybody is reporting the same thing, including Colonel Halt, who could not have known what Neville's and Monroe had seen just prior to them arriving at the Christmas party?
Well, I can't speak for from Charles Halt, but remember, he interviewed Cabansack on the morning of his incident. So whether he told him that, I don't know. But I think it's something that's been overlooked, is that this eye winking at you.
Right.
Is something to do with the phenomenon.
Yeah. Again, I want everybody to get the book and to read through this. But the coincidences are extraordinary. And the names that are involved here. This it just turned out to be so much bigger and broader, and it's different. It gets a different feel, Ronnie, when you have names attached to all of this. It's not, a person was there. You actually have the names, and it's a really big deal. Okay, so now we're going to head towards a break in a couple of minutes. But this is now we're starting the third night. The base Christmas party is going on. The festivities are going on. I don't know exactly what Colonel Halt was wearing, but it's a Christmas party. So I'm assuming he's wearing his formal uniform, right? He's at the Christmas. He's not in his dress.
He's in his suit.
He's in a suit. Okay, but he had to go and change.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so set this up for us. They arrive at the Christmas party. What do they say to Colonel Halt? Dude, it's going on.
Bruce England, who you need to realise what sort of airman he was. He'd been in the Marines before he joined the Air Force. He was someone who was not shook easily, and he turned up at the Christmas party and wanted to speak to Colonel Conrad, and he said, "It's back." And they said, "What's back?" And he said, "The UFO is back."
And what that was Conrad. What was Conrad's response?
Conrad's response was, well, I've got, this was a Christmas party where they recognised everyone for good deeds they'd done during the year, and he had still some rewards to dish out, and he told Colonel Halt, best you get a party together and you go investigate it.
And Neville's, it was Neville's, Monroe, and who else? I know that Conrad was in the room. Colonel Halt's in the room.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is where it all gets cloudy, because up until recently, Colonel Halt said he didn't know anything about Monroe and Neville's ever being there.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the importance of this timeline. But Conrad, he's got to issue orders, right? He's got to tell everybody what to do.
Yeah, well, he handed over to Colonel Halt and said, "Go bedunk it because debunk it, because this is getting out of control. The airmen are spending more time looking up into the sky than they are protecting the assets that they're paid for. You need to sort this out."
Before we head to the break, at this point, Colonel Halt, not exactly at this point, but now he's got to go and investigate, and he picks up the phone, and I think it's a very interesting call. He calls Disaster Preparedness On-Call Officer Captain Sue Jones.
Yeah, he does. And he asks her, this is weird, because he asks her who the on-duty person is on disaster preparedness, and she says, well, that's Monroe Neville's. And according to Monroe Neville's, he was stood there next to Bruce England.
And now they've got to pick up some gear. And Halt, and this is so interesting to me. They've got to get some gear. So the first thing they think about is like a camera, right? A Geiger counter, which plays a pivotal role in everything that happens after this. Zickler gets involved. Robert Ball, he's another master sergeant. And I'm watching Ronnie on the camera. So, but yeah, it's pretty funny. And so they get the whole crew together and they head out, but they've got to change first.
Yeah.
So what happens? And we've got, actually, let's just pick that up after the break. Let's do that now. I can squeeze it in. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Ronnie Dugdale. We're talking about his very important timeline. Now, it took me like a day to read through this timeline. We're doing a very abridged version of it. You've got to get the book. It's absolutely extraordinary. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. More with Ronnie after this short break, and we're going to get into the third night. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl, Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
The older we get, the more important it is to stay active and healthy. I exercise regularly, eat right, but recently some new aches and pains have really put a cramp in my routine. A good friend recently told me about Angioprim. She said Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement, helping people since 2003. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, calcium, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages and lead to unexplained pain. Research shows the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that may help promote good cardiovascular health. After a few weeks of taking Angioprim, my pain was gone. Now I'm back and more physically active than ever. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com, ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim right now, 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I wish everybody could see what's going on between Ronnie and I right now. Totally live radio comedy. In that we're heading into overtime here, and Ronnie can hear me, right? I can, but I can't hear him. So we're having a conversation, but and I had to explain. You're if somebody could hear you during the break, Ronnie, or if I could hear you, everybody can hear you. Right? See, so, but you can hear me because this button here, this is our talk back that feeds directly into your headphones. Nobody can hear that. But so anyway, so Ronnie's responding to me. He's all excited. I'm like, dude, I can't hear you. So Ronnie starts shouting. I can see him shouting. Oh, man, it's just so funny. That was great. That was awesome stuff. All right, now, this is what is great for the audience. We're gonna get away from Colonel Halt. We're gonna avoid all of that. The story's been told so many times. We're gonna avoid that. We're gonna talk about something that nobody has probably heard before, and that is Airman Batram's incident. And now, Ronnie, I'm gonna tell you right now. When I read, I was like, "Holy crap!" Right? This is as extraordinary as the first night, the second night, and what was about to happen on the third night, but it's Airman Batram. So let's talk. I want everybody to lean forward and just listen to this. What was his story?
Okay, so Greg was on a patrol around the Woodbridge base, and they observed lights going off over the Rendlesham Forest, and so he called it in, and they gave him permission to go off base and investigate it. So they went off base. I think there was probably about 4 of them, but they took their weapons with them, and they came across a mist coming up from the ground with something in the middle of the mist that was distorting and changing shape. 1 minute that looked like an aspirin, the next minute the aspirin shaped, next minute it looked mushroom shaped, but they didn't like what they were feeling. Now I've heard from an unconfirmed report that someone opened fire on it, but they ran for their lives. And as they came out of the forest, they bumped into Bustinger in England, who were then coming into the forest because an airman, I think his name was Markham, down at the Eastgate, had reported in that he wasn't happy that he'd been seeing lights on the forest, and they scared him and he didn't want to stay there any longer.
Now, they reported, and correct me again if I'm wrong, they reported seeing the lights over the forest and then land and enter the forest and descend into the forest.
Yes, correct.
And they're armed. It's Batram and 3 other guys. They go in and they start shooting. Right?
Well,
why isn't this a part of the bigger picture?
Maybe it's part of the cover-up, Jimmy. I don't know.
So, what happens next? I know that they exit the woods. But they reported. Now let's go back. Let's start comparing a couple of things here. Airman Bertram reported this object again about 100 feet across. If we go back to the sighting of on Bunker Hill, we have nearly the same type of description, right? So this was indeed when you put all of these accounts together. The same type of craft, the same thing was observed. Going back to 18-year-old Lori, a group of lights inside of the forest, above the forest, and entering the forest 3 nights in a row.
Yeah, I think the only the only thing that was the same with all the sightings was this yellow-green mist that emanated off the floor of the forest for perhaps 3 or 4 feet, and in the middle of it was this craft or something that was distorting in place all the while. There's something that Bartram reported, there's something that Bustinger reported as well, and there's something that Bustinger reported on the 3rd night with John Burroughs.
And so they're running out of the woods, right?
Yeah.
They bump into England, who is arriving. England reports them back to the base. Did they get debriefed? Is there any paperwork on their sighting?
Okay, so the only paperwork with any debriefings is the witness testimonies that Colonel Holt took several days after the events, which is everyone, as you know, and not official because they didn't include the first page of the OSI report.
Now, this is the other part of the timeline that I want to address directly. And I know you heard the show last week with Burroughs, but I brought this up with John, and I believe John said, I think you need to talk to Ronnie about this. So let's get to this, because they're coming out of the base, or they're coming out of the forest. England says, okay, Battram, you and the boys, you're ordered back to the base. At this point, Bustinza pulls up in his Jeep. Now, we've got two versions of the story. One that Bustinza wasn't with Holt, and then the one that Bustinza never left Holt's side. Bustinza drove back and forth between the bases, picking up the Lidalls. Can we start to clean this part up?
Okay, so first of all, when Colonel Holt come on the UFO circuit, he said that John Burroughs and Adrian Bustinza were not involved at all. That wasn't
on the third night.
On any night.
Oh, on any night. Okay.
Yeah. So Bustinza, well, Holt was only involved in the third night, so let's go with the third night.
Sure.
So he told Georgina Bruni that that Bustinza was not involved on the third night, nor was John Burroughs at all. Not at all. Now, Georgina Bruni, she was a very, very, very good investigator, and if you haven't read her book, You Can't Tell the People, then you should do, because there's lots of clues in there. Bless her heart, she departed this earth a long while ago, but she said what happened was she got hold of a cleaned up version of the Holt tape. Now, there was lots of versions of the Holt tape going about in the UK at the time, and they were very, very hard to decipher. She got in contact with Colonel Morgan, who was once the deputy base commander, and asked him for could she have a first generation of the tape, because we knew he had it, because he'd already sent copies of the tape to investigators Harry Harris and Dot Street in the UK before. But she asked him, did he have a first generation? And he said he was moving house, but he would send it to her. Anyway, in between time, the wing commander, Gordon Williams, he got hold of the tape, and Georgina begged it off him, and she sent it to him on the proviso that she sent it back to Morgan at the end of it. And when she played the tape, that was a lot more information on that tape, what was on the tape, what was in the public domain. And on that, she heard John Burroughs' voice, and she heard Adrian Bustinza's. Up until then, Colonel Holt said they weren't involved. Now he can't deny it, because they're on the tape. And so...
And I've heard both versions of the tape. And my original listening to the tape was the version that was edited and was out of sequence. And I think it was confusing a lot of us back then. Well, because now the timeline is out of order. Where you could hear the events. It was like people were time traveling. And I was having a hard time trying to figure out what was going on. And I had the transcription of it. And I'm like, wait a minute. They are definitely in two places, right? They're jumping back and forth. And then we got the unedited version of the tape. And you go and you hear that. And where it's in order, it's two completely different things, right?
Yeah, it is.
And I know that you've heard both versions of the tape. But you can hear the investigation jumping around, the radiation readings, and then they're somewhere else, and now they're back doing measurements and radiation stuff with the Geiger counter. So clearly somebody got a hold of the tape and chopped it up, didn't they?
Absolutely. On the tape, you hear Bruce England saying they're still flying around. And then that goes back to the radiation readings. And then it says, we are observing the first light we've seen. That's been chopped about. I mean, and Andrew Pike in his, he brought out a book called The Rendlesham Files. His family were sound recordists. They knew how to decipher between a stop and start, which Colonel Holt always said he'd done,
right,
and also a edit. And there was a big, big gap in the tape, which is edited.
Now, so after and I'm not trying to put Chuck Holt on the spot here, and he's probably either listening or will listen to this show at a later time, and I'm not trying to do that. And people's memories change over time. I understand that too. But either Adrian Bastenza was there and the timeline was what it was, and it was Adrian's voice that is having trouble with the radio, right? Which would indicate his presence. And also Chuck Holt personally picked his team on the spot who he wanted to go into the forest. And that was England, right? That was Bob Ball.
Yeah.
That was Monroe, Nevels, and Adrian Bastenza, right? And that's where we are today.
Yeah, that's where we are today, but he sent Bastenza away.
And now, after all of this, right, and we know about the events that were going on in the woods, and I'm looking at the clock. I want to get this last part out.
Okay.
Because it's probably the most, I keep saying that, right? The second night was the biggest night. The first night was the most important night. The third night, and we've got Battram and things. But now we've got the farmhouse, and we've got a craft that has landed, and we've got a group of people around it. And we've got all kinds of different eyewitness testimony here. I'm going to say one thing really quick. Is this an instance of witnesses to a car accident where you're not going to get the same exact story out of everybody that see the car accident at the same time? Right?
No, I don't believe that, Jimmy. I think that's a situation of that some people's memories have been meddled with to make them believe different things. Because I'm sure that what Colonel Holt has reported he believes, and Monroe Nevels has believed, and Bastenza believes what he's seen. But how do I put this? I've had more information come to me from other airmen who favour Bastenza's account that they did surround a craft. Now, one thing. A few years back, I came across a Radio Suffolk broadcast where someone who was in contact with Colonel Holt, and I think perhaps this is pre the incident coming out in the news of the world, I think perhaps Colonel Holt was selling this story to these people. And he got a memorandum from Colonel Holt, and he said at one time they surrounded the craft and tried to get in it and on it. And I've got that radio broadcast on a old-fashioned tape recording, and there's more to this than meet the eye. I believe Bastenza.
Now, I know that you heard John and I speak about this specifically on the show last week. John doesn't remember this. And I know that you've heard John's account of this, and I believe John, but Bastenza and others have said exactly what you are saying here. It's a pretty extraordinary moment here. We have a large group of military personnel surrounding a craft in the field next to the farmer's house, and they talked about getting on the craft as well as trying to break into it.
Absolutely. But we're not talking about what John knows. What John and Bustins happened was later in the evening. This is what happened in the farmer's field that some people know as Cabell Green.
Right. Now, what were, let's just ask the direct question. What were they seeing? Were they seeing a physical craft? And look, I've only got 8 minutes left because now we also have to bring in Larry Warren.
Right.
And I brought up last week on the show, I got to make this quick because I need to get all of this in. Larry Warren is missing from the timeline until the very end. He's got the honorable mention, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why wasn't Larry's account, that is well publicized, not part of this timeline?
Right, because I believe that Larry's timeline was what Bustinser gave to Larry because he felt that needed to get out. Who else can verify that Warren was there? No one. Bustinser has said and been on the record on a few occasions that Larry was there. And I've never ever spoke out against that. If that's what Bustinser thinks and feels, that's fine. But my own feeling is that Larry was probably there, but not in the main event, because that's what he was running around the base saying, is that he was mad because he missed the main event. But Bustinser wanted to get the story out, and he gave it to Larry.
Now, Larry's drawing of the craft, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool.
It's a good book and a good story.
Yeah, okay. His drawing of the craft, are you suggesting here that craft, that, the famous drawing that's out, is Bustinser's description and not what Larry personally witnessed?
No, I think that's what Larry says happened. And he might have been under pressure to provide a drawing or a description of what happened. But Bustinser has always said that was always distorting. And that changed from being like a disparate aspirin shape to a mushroom. And he couldn't describe it because that was how... He said there was all sorts of gadgets coming off the craft.
Right.
But he couldn't make it out.
Now, the craft that has been described in the farmer's field is not Jim Penniston's craft that he has described in the forest.
No, absolutely not, because the craft in the field was 30 foot across.
Right.
And the one Jim Penniston said was 9 foot across.
And Penniston always described it as angular, right?
Yeah.
Angular, geometric.
With the dorsal fin, yeah.
Yep. And what was in the field, to me, looks more organic, if I could describe it that way. A physical craft, but it wasn't angular. This was dome-shaped and had a strange surface to it.
Yeah, that was constantly distorting.
Right. Now, was it a physical craft? And the reason why, you heard what John said last week, was this a physical craft? Why would the witnesses that were grouped around it suggest that they wanted to get on it if it wasn't a physical craft?
Okay, I don't know, Jimmy, but listen, the craft that turned up on Jim Penniston and John Burroughs' night, Jim describes as 9 foot across. The trees are 5 foot apart. The craft that Bustinser describes is like 30 to 100 foot across, and the trees are 5 foot across. Now, on both instances, they described that there was limbs broken off the trees.
Right.
But not, even Jim has said, he don't understand how come a craft 9 foot across can maneuver in between trees that are 5 foot across. And in John Burroughs' hypnosis, he says it's getting smaller, it's maneuvering across the trees. You tell me.
the assessment, you have spent 40 years on this, Ronnie. Today, I've gone back and forth. I want your opinion. Are we talking about something extraterrestrial, not of this earth?
For certain.
And what makes you say that?
Because that was doing things that we can't even replicate today. For definite. I think that when this first happened, that the authorities, OSI, listen, OSI, if there's anything that we're dealing with that's new technology, the first thing they'll do is send people out into the UFO community and say that was a UFO. I think they done that, but didn't realise that it was. I'm sure we was doing something. We was doing something to do with the technology, but it opened up a window that even we couldn't close.
Why have you read Nick Redfern's new book?
I haven't.
Well, you know that what he has suggested there, which is that this was possibly experiments and testing done on military personnel by government agencies. Now, I appreciate that. We need we need all of the ideas with Rendlesham pushed to the center of the table. And Nick's book, which I have read and interviewed him about it, is an interesting read. And it is another theory, and it's got some great points in it. But the more that I move forward in this, I have circled back around to, I thought about the time traveler aspect, and what Jim Pennington. I think that's a real possibility. But
me too.
But after reading this book and your timeline, I'm right back to, I think what has happened here is E.T. visited Rendlesham Forest over 3 days.
Yeah, I'm convinced of that, Jimmy. I am convinced of it.
There you go. And thank you so much, Ronnie. Now, really quick, I've literally got 45 seconds left. The UK, okay. you guys are going through some harsh stuff over there right now. You got the new COVID-20, right? You've got that breakout. You guys are in lockdown. It's a very harsh time. You're dealing with Brexit on the table. You're going through the holidays. It seems that the UK is tipped upside down. The next thing you know, Scotland's going to do their own Brexit. I can see that next on the horizon. How are you guys dealing with everything over there? Is it tense, or is it just Great Britain and you guys are going to get through this?
That's Great Britain, and we're going to get through this, but we're now going to what they call Tier 4, where no one can move anywhere. So maybe that's what it needs. But
what are you gonna do on the 25th?
I'll be working, Jim.
Are you going to have the family over? Are you guys going to be able to do some kind of celebration?
No, my family is scattered up and down the UK, so we've done our celebrations already.
Now, I just want to say this. I've got 15 seconds left. I've been watching the Christmas tree in the background for the whole show. Zero movement. And I can't believe I didn't record that, but that was extraordinary, and we got to do that together, Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'm glad you spun around and you saw what I was seeing. That was pretty. Yeah, it was pretty nuts, man. I think your sister just did a drive-by.
Well, I feel a presence all the while, Jimmy. But tonight we've only just scratched the surface.
I know we
have. But any time you get a guest drop out, a moment's notice, I'll come and join you, and we can take off where we left off.
You are the very best, Ronnie. Thank you so much. Happy holidays.
And to you, Jimmy.
And I'll reach out to you after the new year. Thank you so much.
Okay. Cheers, Jimmy. Happy holidays to all the Fadenauts.
I love the way he says fade or not. Ronnie, thank you so much, man. And again, enjoy your holidays. And with that, we literally went pole to pole with Ronnie Dugdale. An extraordinary, important show tonight. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camurian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark T. Kovar. Webmasters, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KGACR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night is Christmas Eve. It is Fader Night. Open lines with all of you all night long. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. Fade to Black.